Do I have to take do I have to take a motion to go into to public session?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be live momentarily.
Do I have to take a motion to go into?
So Toto, we're live.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our January 20th, 2021 Board of Education meeting. I need a motion to go into public session.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I was going to say we'll students. Sorry. It's my normal morning routine. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the
In the
United
United States of America,
and
to
to the
the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
Under-
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
the
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
for all.
Thank you.
Hey,
Nope, sorry, Ms. Leone.
that's okay. I'd like to take a roll call, please. Mr. Toto,
Here.
Ms. Hoffman,
Here.
Mr. Curcio,
Yeah.
Ms. Hanson,
Yeah.
Mr. Leader,
Here.
Dr. Bloom.
Here.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Bloom.
Board approval is requested of the following civil service probationary appointment as listed.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the memorandum of agreements between the Franklin Square Union Free School District and the following bargaining units for the purpose of a collective bargaining agreement leave for reasons previously qualified under the expired Family First Coronavirus Act leave.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the attached resolution for employees with individualized employment contracts for the purpose of contractual leave for reasons previously qualified under the expired Family FFCRA Leave Act.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board approval is requested of the CBA between the Franklin Square Union Free School District and the CSEA Franklin Square Custodial Unit effective July 1st through June 30th, 2021.
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Toto, if you wouldn't mind, I will introduce the proposed budget presentation.
Okay.
This evening, it is our first work session of the 21-22 budget. And based on the initial information coming from the governor's office and all of our local organizations, there are challenges ahead. However, we are prepared for them. There does seem to be some hope that Congress and President Biden plan to provide additional aid to schools, states, and local governments. But the current structure being proposed by Cuomo's team would still create a hole in a year or two should those funds no longer be available. So we will have more details over the next few weeks as we kind of comb through the executive budget, the state aid runs, and we'll continue to share updates with the board and our community. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Ms. Hennessy, who's going to present this evening. Ms. Hennessy, I believe you need access, so give me 1 second and let me make you a co-host so that you can share your screen. Ms. Hennessy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Are you able to share your screen?
Okay, do we all see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As Dr. Bloom stated, tonight is our first budget work session of the 2021-22 budget season. When developing the budget, there are always certain guiding principles which we abide by. They include that curriculum and instruction needs drive our budgeting process, a focus on class sizes, that we seek to continue our annual investments in transportation, technology, security, and facilities maintenance. We also try to minimize our impact on taxes, and we do so through a practice of multi-year financial planning. This means that we are trying to appropriately fund all of our budget codes, not only thinking about next year's budget, but the next 5 years, so that we can prevent spikes in the tax levy. The first draft of the budget proposal is in the amount of $41,837,929. This represents a $1.674 million increase over the prior year's budget, or a 4.17% budget to budget increase. At this time, we don't have all the data needed from the state to perform the tax levy calculation, so the tax levy increase is not yet determined. I just want to reiterate again that this is only the first draft of the budget, and the proposal will decrease as more information is gained. We're waiting on information regarding grant allocations, enrollment, retirement, and health insurance costs. And we have many challenges ahead of us this year. 3 that I wanted to highlight include state aid. Dr. Bloom did a wonderful job speaking about this already. I just wanted to share that we received preliminary information this morning, our preliminary aid run. We're in the process of analyzing it, but it is not looking promising. In addition, Governor Cuomo has cautioned us that the state aid picture will be very subject to change this year. So even though the state aid runs did come out, depending on the federal funding situation, we could see a very volatile change in our state aid. Secondly, I've listed COVID procedures with a question mark because we don't quite know what 21-22 will look like just yet. This year, we are operating under a completely different set of procedures so that we can safely educate our students in school. It included additional hires, additional purchases of equipment, of PPE, of cleaning solutions. So we have money in the budget assuming that 21-22 would require the same COVID procedures. I think we're all very hopeful that we won't need these procedures, but at this time we are being prudent in budgeting for them. And then lastly, we've experienced tax collection delays this year, which has caused a significant cash flow issue for us. Our tax levy is the most significant and primary source of the district's revenue. So when the county allowed homeowners a longer period of time to pay those taxes, it then caused a cash flow issue for us as a district. The current budget proposal maintains all of our current programs. Highlights in the area of instruction include our differentiated instruction and individualized instruction, our STEAM program and pre-kindergarten program. In the areas of transportation and facilities, we are looking to update our fleet by purchasing 1 new bus. We typically purchase 1 new bus per year so that we can retire our oldest vehicle. We'd also propose to maintain the expanded transportation eligibility offering that we've been giving to the community the last few years. And then lastly, the budget includes funds for safety consultations, trainings, increased SRO, school resource officer services, security equipment, and infrastructure. In the area of technology, some of our highlights include our Z-Space interactive STEM labs, our one-to-one or our iPad initiative, upgrading our infrastructure so that it can handle all of the distance learning that we've been experiencing, as well as continuing our interactive whiteboard replacement, which has been on a 5-year cycle of replacing our whiteboards. Key increases have been broken out into what I call mandated costs. Those are costs that are being dictated to us and over which we don't have control. They include that retirement costs are increasing and health insurance costs are increasing. As I pointed out earlier, additional staff may be needed due to the COVID protocols. Additional teaching staff and monitors were hired this year. We had those positions we need and then the associated benefits with them as well. We don't know what the budget vote itself will actually look like just yet. This past year, when we transitioned to a mail-in budget vote, it cost the district in excess of $40,000 in postage and printing, costs. So we do have that in the budget at this time until we have a better picture of how the actual budget vote process will work. And as I said earlier, the need to keep purchasing PPE and cleaning supplies. So new initiatives include that we added an SRO, a school resource officer position this year. We prior had 1 school resource officer at each building. This year we hired a 4th school resource officer. It helped us to handle a unique situation at Washington Street School. As you're aware, we have students entering the building at all different times now through all different entrances. We also share a border with Carrie, who's going through a very similar situation. we found a unique situation where the gate on Poppy Avenue was being opened for bus traffic at the same time that students and parents may be arriving to school on foot or by car. And we hired this additional position to help us with the safety concerns there, as well as to float throughout the rest of the day. So when they finish their post at the Washington Street School in the morning, they float around to John Street and Polk Street School. They provide an additional support for both interior and exterior patrols, as well as covering the lunches of the SROs in those buildings. So at any moment throughout the day, we have at least one SRO in every single building in the district. And then lastly, we'll be taking a focus on our textbooks this upcoming year, renewing our math series, completing our science series, and contemplating the transition of a primary reading series. We've been operating under the tax cap environment since 2012. I already spoke about the fact that we don't yet have this calculation as we're missing some data from the state. But one key piece of information that we do know is that the CPI was announced at 1.23%. The CPI is one of the numbers that goes into the calculation of our tax cap limit. This is unfortunately not good news. It's the lowest the CPI has been since 2016 and will just pose another obstacle for us to overcome this year. And then lastly, I would just like to remind everybody that our next budget work session will be on February 24th, and that we hope you can all join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Hennessy. Dr. Bloom?
Thank you, Ms. Hennessy. I believe, Mr. Toto, we are,
We need to, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting to go into executive session.
Steve, Mr. Toto, before we adjourn, we lost a staff member since our last meeting. Pam Greenfield, I think that we should acknowledge and either have a moment of silence in her honor.
Yeah, we can certainly do that. I was waiting for our regular board meeting in February, but we can certainly do that tonight and then again in February, if that's okay with the rest of the board.
Totally.
All right. Okay. Thank you. And I do want to send our love and condolences to Pam's family at this time. But and you know, I think Dr. Bloom said it in his letter and email to the community that we've been through so much as a district, and to lose another one of our own, it's tough. So hopefully when we could all come back together safely, we will plan for a special memorial for both Mr. Lewinger and Ms. Greenfield. So thank you, Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you. Do you want a motion to adjourn?
Yes, please.
Move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone on, bear with me for a moment, February 3rd, which is our regular February board meeting.